I now have a ghetto backdrop, so there. The lighting is slightly better. It still sucks. Um, so I just kind of want to join in the chorus right now because I've been kind of thinking about it for many months now. Um, the current YouTube community is kind of interesting, and this may just mean me and what I'm watching, but all I see right now are two things. One, hashtag change the channel, which I'm going to talk about at some other time, and fuck the Last Jedi. I just want to join in the chorus of fuck the Last Jedi, and I just want to say that. That's it. That's all I really got. But I really want to kind of there's been some people that have been talking about it very vehemently and beautifully that I want to highlight, like that people that as of like last December I didn't know existed and probably would have never have subscribed to first place, but they were just as pissed off as me and they were savvy enough to get in on this. So yeah, Abu Nas, Jeremy of Geeks and Gamers, Mindless Entertainment, I Live in Hyperspace, Dishonored Wolf, y'all badasses. And I love you, and you're great, and I think I Live in Hyperspace said this first, but I agree with it. If you're hearing this, you are the new resistance. You are the new rebellion, and it's yeah. I kind of want to talk about Star Wars for a minute, and my feelings about the Last Jedi, which is going to echo a lot of what other people have said, but I just kind of want to reinforce it. It's weird. I've started doing a thing with movies now where I've stopped watching trailers unless like I'm in the theater and it's there. It's like, ooh, that looks interesting. I might watch that. That's what I'll do. But especially for like kind of nerd movies, a big ones that have been coming out, I've gotten in the habit of lately just not watching trailers. I will I think I started doing that with like Star Trek Beyond was like the no, not Star Trek Beyond. Star Trek Into Darkness was like the first one I did full sensory deprivation on that one, and I enjoyed it, I think, more as a result. So I started doing that with this too. I feel like a lot of the problems with The Last Jedi started before The Last Jedi. But before we get into that, I'll just say that I was one of the people that was kind of... I feel like with the prequels, I defended the prequels for the longest time because I was under the impression... I love movies, and I love a lot of bad movies, and I feel like at the end of the day, they're not that bad. They're definitely flawed movies. But, I mean, they're, like, look, say what you will about Attack of the Clones. It's a better movie than Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. And if you're a student of bad filmmaking, if you love B movies, it's like, or if you watch Mystery Science Theater 3000 and all, it's like, look, there's always a worse film out there. So, I mean, but that's not to say that they are definitely flawed films, and there's definitely, and it's like, they're hard, like, they haven't aged well. Like Attack of the Clones in particular, I feel hasn't aged terribly well, and it's like, they're definitely flawed films. But I don't think they were that bad. For my money, like, the worst one of that era was not even the prequels, it was the Clone Wars movie, which was really just a promotion for the Clone Wars TV series. And honestly, I just, like, in premise, it was like, we have to save Jabba's kid. It's like, yes, let's take time out of this war with the Confederates, and let's do that so we can rescue a mob boss's son. That's a great idea. I think on that alone, and I feel like Gennady Tartakovsky's animation, although beautiful, doesn't really work when you make it 3D. I wasn't really for that, but it's like, there's characters that, like, people like that show. I've been resistant to get into. I've been getting into Rebels. I'm digging Rebels, but like a lot of people really love Clone Wars, and I think a lot of them really love it because of Ahsoka. And it's like, especially with the show, you have time to improve. I think it's improved over time. But I mean, it was like that movie. I was kind of at a point where it's like, yeah, George, you need some outside. You need someone outside to come in and do something. So when Disney took over and they started doing their own films, I was initially very positive on it. I liked The Force Awakens. I still like The Force Awakens. I liked Rogue One. And I was just kind of expecting that, like, this movie was going to be fine. This movie was going to be good. It was just like, oh yeah, Last Jedi, man. Yeah, it's going to be great. Fuck yeah, it's going to be bad. You know, like, what do you... And, like, a lot of people were, like, speculating Rey and Snoke and this, that, and the other. And I was like, I didn't give a shit. I didn't give a really... I was like, oh, yeah, I'm sure they'll come with something cool. They'll come with something cool. Whatever they come up with is going to be great, man. No big deal. So I'm like, you know, just saw Thor Ragnarok. Things were neat. My dad and I went to the theater and saw it together around Christmas time. There's there's a bar in my movie theater, my local AMC. So I got like the Blue Hope, which had a little blue lightsaber in it, and it was good. And the other one is like you could be a Sith, was the red one. I had that in another movie. I think I had that for like Shape of Water, which is cool. But you know, we go in and there's lasers and explosions and I'm like, okay, where are you going with this? Where are you going with this movie? Take me on a journey. And so initially, and I've noticed this with a lot of people. I noticed a lot of people seem to be having this reaction. And I think what it boils down to is the first stage of grief is denial. So I think that's like, initially I liked the movie. Initially I was like, you know, lasers, explosions, all right, just, you know, where are you going with this? And just kind of let it flow over me. And I enjoyed it. But I had issues with it while I was watching it. And then I haven't felt this way since, like, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, where it's like I was entertained by a movie, but I was also annoyed with it. And, like, the more I remember, like, the first time, like, seeing Revenge of the Fallen, the more I thought about it, the more I didn't like it. And I've yet to sit through Revenge of the Fallen all the way through since then. Just because it's like, nope, none of that shit. And The Last Jedi seemed similar, because it was like I had issues with it. And then, like, we immediately left and we went and visited some friends of ours and we had some wine with them. And my buddy Andy, I sort of talked to him about it, and it was like he hated it. And he was like, he brought up this and brought up that. And the more I thought about it, and it's like, yeah, the movie kind of sucked. And it was like, and again, it's like, and I think a lot of people have been going through that, where it's like initially oh yeah, I liked it. And then they start thinking about it. It's like, no, that sucked. And it was just, there was weird things even just through the initial viewing. And I want to pause my review of the movie to just talk about I think what at the end of the day is part of the problem with the movie that came even before the movie came out, which was the decision to make the expanded universe no longer canon. That was the dumbest thing they could have possibly done, and it's the type of decision making that they made well prior to the production of any of these movies that shows you that they are not in... Star Wars is not in good hands in Disney. It's just not. Because people love the original movies. And part of what people really love about Star Wars is that it's not just that. George Lucas had the vision and the wisdom to realize that people love his work. And also, I think in all honesty, say what you will about George and how maybe he's acted a little arrogant in the past, especially with the prequels being made. I think he had the humility to realize he has failings as a writer. And there are other writers out there that are better than he is. And I mean, of course, he's proud of what he did. He's proud of the original Star Wars, and he should be. And it's a great science fiction work. It's one of the best. It's the reason why so many people love it. But he also knows, much like Gene Roddenberry before him with Star Trek, they have their limitations. They have their shortcomings. And both of those men in particular are very good world builders. And he realized it's like, okay, people love this stuff. Other people want to come in and write for it. They want to write novels. They want to write comics and video games. Cool. They want to expand what I made. I'm going to let him do it. He let people do it. And also, hey, he gets the money. It's very smart. It's what I like. It's basically, it's art working together hand in hand with business and making beautiful things and great product, if you want to be cynical about it. And it was very wide, and all he had to do was, I mean, like, the movies were like the most important thing. It was the stuff that he touched was the most important thing, but there was like levels and degrees of canon. And there was tons of stuff that people love and people enjoy, like the Timothy Zahn novels, Knights of the Old Republic. I remember Shadows of the Empire was a big deal when I was in high school, and that was cool. Just tons of video games, and all this was good stuff. It was all, and a lot of what people love about Star Wars is the expanded universe, is the toys, is the phenomenon of it. There's so much to Star Wars. That's where your fan base really gains strength. And honestly, a lot of things that falter in the prequels are expanded upon and made better by the expanded universe. And again, I would argue those prequels are not that bad. I've always said this, and it's like I've taken shit for defending George. I feel vindicated now. I feel vindicated now. It's not that bad. It really isn't. So, and part of that is like, that's your fan base. That's part of the people that want to come in and want to watch more and want it to be better. And were supercharged for The Force Awakens. And they just chose to throw it all away. Yeah, it's Legends continuity now, which, you know, it makes me want to spit. Whatever. It's the real expanded universe. That's what it is. You know, they at least had the forethought. It's like, oh, we still want to make money off of this. We better. Oh no, it's an alternate universe now, and it's okay. Okay, whatever. It's the actual continuity people actually give a fuck about. That people are actually coming to see. You know, and for my money, like, okay, The Force Awakens and Rogue One are good enough that I want them to be part of that original continuity somehow. I mean, I initially, like, my speculation on Rey and Kylo was like, oh, okay, all right. Kylo's Jason Solo, you know, yeah, that Rey's either Luke's kid or she's I think Jace Solo. She's like those two are the Jedi twins. Those two are the Jedi twins from the Timothy Zahn trilogy. Even though it's happening years later and it doesn't make sense why. Whatever. You know, I felt like it was like there was no reason to say, or, you know, maybe fine, okay, all right, you know, whatever. You know, Han and Leia bonked and had another kid, and that's Kylo Ren. But, I mean, for my money, there's no reason why Grand Admiral Thrawn couldn't exist in that world. And sure enough, along comes Rebels, and Grand Admiral Thrawn's in it. There you go. They're good enough where I think it's fine. And if you look at Rogue One's an excellent movie. Although it kind of invalidates the adventures of Kyle Katarn, the hero of Dark Forces in the Jedi Academy games. Again, fans are great, because fans will make up whatever excuse to justify something in a series to see it makes sense with their headcanon. I remember back in the days of Spoonie. Spoonie did like a vlog where he was ranting about how fans were talking about like Highlander the Quickening, and somehow Highlander the Quickening is in canon. Fans will do that. Fans will totally do that. And for your own fan sanity, I think that's fine. And that makes sense. So, somehow, okay, Kyle got one half of the Death Star plans, and Jen got another half. Whatever, fine. That's fine. But it shows that, like, a great disregard for the people that you're trying to market to. The reason they want Star Wars as a property, a viable property, is because of the massive fan following for it. Well, that fan following comes from the expanded universe and from the previously established works. So throwing it away is fucking retarded, and it's also lazy. And I noticed this with J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams seems to have a tendency to just kind of throw up his hands and say it doesn't count. Like, I like the new Star Trek movies, but he went all the trouble to say, the Romulan sun goes supernova, and Spock tries to fix it, and him and Nero go back in time, and they make a parallel universe, and it's a new timeline. You don't have to pay attention to continuity anymore. You don't have to pay attention to continuity. You don't have to do that. Just completely fucking ignore it. You know, and I don't mind it in Star Trek because, well, in Star Trek we've already established there's a multiverse. There's there's Mirror Mirror, the famous episode where Spock has a goatee and thus is evil, and is the alternate universe where everyone the Federation's bad. You have the Next Generation episode Parallels, where Worf keeps on shifting through alternate realities, and they're slightly different. It very much established that there's a multiverse in Star Trek, and you know we've already covered this. So this is just an alternate universe, and it's the one that where the original Spock comes to this world and kind of ends his life there and goes on a few more adventures there, and it's fine, and they've established it well enough. And on top of that, it's like the novels and the comics are still going. Star Trek Online is still going on. The original Star Trek continuity is fine, and that's important because fans want to know that all the stories that they love are still there and they still matter, and you don't even have to reference them. You don't even have to actually do anything with them. You just need to, all you need to do as a cynical director or producer is hand wave away. Yes, it still counts. Whatever. And you write your story, and your story can completely contradict canon and make no fucking sense, and it doesn't matter anyway, because you know what? You said it counts. You pat us on the head and says, yes, it's fine. And you didn't officially change anything, and somehow it makes sense. That's fine. That's fine. To not do that shows a complete disregard for the fans. And it shows that they don't really care, they just want our money. And it's like, look, I will give you my money. I will throw money at you. I will get a fucking catapult and launch it at you. I will get a potato gun and stick $100 bills in it and shoot it at you. And here's my money. Boom. You might have some internal injuries after that, but whatever. It doesn't matter. All you have to do is do this right, and people will love you for it. People will praise you for it. No. They just set this, it's a very bad center. Oh, we want to do something different. We want to do something different. And it shows an idea that, and there's another YouTuber out there, Razorfist, who's fucking awesome. And political spectrum, he's a little different than I am, but whatever. He's like one of the greatest video game and like action movie reviewers out there. He's a badass. He also reviews his metal music. I'm still waiting for that Dio music video. I'm still waiting for that Dio Metal Mythos Razorfist. Come on, dude. Dio, do it. Whatever. He's great, and he pointed out, this is such a dumb thing I'm about to do. He pointed out that like something Frank Miller said a long time ago, and it's actually on the the DVD commentary of it's a DVD featurette of the original Daredevil movie, which I've seen before, and it's really good. So this is kind of a long, rambly. I'm gonna shut up now and get to the point. Anyway, the point is, Frank Miller has pointed out before that comic books in particular were trying to market to a group of kids that was never there in the first place, and that they spent so much time trying to get new readers, when instead what they should have been doing is they should have just been marketing to the people that are already fans of them. And they waste all this energy like, new, and it's true. It's like the New 52, the SJW Marvel, all this is trying to market themselves to groups that do not read comics, that are not fans of comics. And it's like, what you should be doing is just marketing yourself to people that loves comics. That's what you should do. You should market to people like me. Because you know what? When I have kids, I'm going to get my kids into comics. And they're gonna like it. They're going to grow up with it. And like, it's my best friend. He's doing that with his son right now. His son's already into Spider-Man. He's already into Batman. We impress these things on our children. And that's why these things are classic and have endured for so many, many years. It's not that hard. But, comics continue to try to get kids that have no interest in reading comics to read comics. And it happens in the video game industry. The video game industry has had this inferiority complex that, we're not as good as movies. So they try to do the same shit. And now Star Wars is doing it. Now Star Wars is trying to get a new generation probably, and again, I think in terms of Kathleen Kennedy, who's running things, a feminist generation to start getting into Star Wars. Instead of just play one for the hits, play one for the fans. Star Wars is ubiquitously loved by everyone. Man, woman, children, transgendered amoebas, I don't know. I'm going to hell. I'm going to hell for that. Whatever. I don't care. It's just everybody loves Star Wars. And like, there's so many people that it means so much to, and those people that love it, they don't feel offended by it or left out from it. We all can project ourselves. I mean, if you're talking about true tolerance, everybody sees themselves in Luke Skywalker. Everyone sees themselves in Han Solo. And if you absolutely do need to those are the white guys. Okay, everybody sees themselves in Lando Calrissian. It's like everybody, there's always, and even, it's just they're good characters that are universal, that have a universal theme, and people gravitate to it. So, and also, if you're gonna make a big deal about adding different ethnicities or whatnot in the thing, just fucking do it and don't call attention to it. It's like, and again, that's part of why I liked Force Awakens. I liked the new characters because I thought they were decent characters. I thought Rey, Finn, and Poe, and even Kylo Ren were good characters. Oh yeah, one's a black dude and one's a woman. Who cares? It's just like it bothers me because as a long-running fan of this and other speculative media, as a fan of fucking X-Men, who's like always, this is not a big deal to me. To me, like, you know, feminism is just being a good person, just respecting people. That's all it's about. But no, you gotta like be a dick about it, you know, and like judge other people for it. It's like, it's ridiculous, and it's like, but anyway, I'm rambling. I'm starting to ramble. So rant. Of course, I'm rambling. But on to the movie itself. So a lot of the other guys that have talked about this have already kind of like beat for beat pointed out everything wrong with this film, in exhaustive and beautiful detail, better than anything that I could fucking do. But I want to kind of like highlight my personal grievances, like things that I noticed wrong, and some of these aren't even going to be like a criticism. It's just going to be like what I'm going to start off with right here. Carrie Fisher. The first thing I noticed about watching the movie was, oh, hi, Carrie. It's your last performance, and I think like part of the reason why like some of the problems of the film probably didn't hit me immediately was because the first thing that kind of went through my head the moment she appears on screen is, hey, you passed away, you're dead now, and that makes me sad. And it was just like, but it was like, you know, and if there's one nice thing I can say about The Last Jedi is that it may not be a very good swan song, but, and there may be so much wrong with this movie, so much to criticize, so much to hate about this movie. But at least we have a movie. At least I've got one more movie, which is her final performance. And it was just, it was distracting to me because it was just like, I started kind of getting upset. You know, I started like, oh, I was kind of sad and happy. It was like I get to see you one more time, you know, before, you know, she's passed away in real life, but it's like at least I got one more film with her and one more performance, and I'm happy to see her. But it was distracting, and that's not really a fault of the film itself. But I think what I'm about to talk about, that everybody has talked about, is a problem, which was the second thing I noticed, because a lot of things that people criticize, like the whole lightsaber over the back of the head, throwing it over his shoulder. That's bad in hindsight. That's bad in context. The humor, the Yo Mama joke, you know, it's bad in context, but it didn't really bother me too much. A lot of things like a lot of the stuff that other people have pointed out, it's like, I feel ya, they didn't bother me. But what did bother me is Leia Poppins. That bothered me. And it bothered me for a couple of reasons. It was like, and again, I want to bring up Star Trek again. In Star Trek Beyond, handling the real-life death of Leonard Nimoy, I felt was so much classier. And so much of just a better way to actually handle that. I mean, like, because they didn't have to. They didn't have to do that. You've had other characters, especially in Star Trek. We've had other cast members that have passed on prior to this, like DeForest Kelley and James Doohan, who you didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to do an episode. Oh, by the way, Scotty passed away. No, Scotty got the episode Relics, and he, you know, I mean, of course, that happened a couple years before he passed away. But he was in that episode, and then he just, you know, he goes on an adventure with the Next Generation crew, and he rides away in a shuttlecraft, and, you know, it's all good. And he goes on to many other adventures in the novels and comics. Like, he's, like, all in the Corps of Engineer books. So it's just, like, you know, really, there is no exit for Scotty in Star Trek. He rides off in the sunset, and he's still out there somewhere. DeForest Kelley, kind of the same thing. DeForest Kelley, Dr. McCoy hasn't talked about much, but basically he shows up in Encounter at Farpoint and kind of gives the Enterprise a send-off. And then shortly after that, he passed away. And it's never really brought up again in Star Trek. It's just like, it's never really brought up, well, what's McCoy up to? Retirement home, we don't know. But they felt the need to bring it up in Star Trek Beyond. And the way they did it was very poignant and classy and heartfelt. It's just a couple of, you know, after they get done with the mission with the, after they go to the Yorktown. Well, after they go to Yorktown, Spock's pulled over by a couple of Vulcan ambassadors and like, can we speak to you for a moment? And they pull him off to the side and they show him this picture and like, we're very sorry, but, you know, Ambassador Spock has passed away, and we thought you should know. And they just let him know about it. And then basically it's, yeah, he helped found a new Vulcan homeworld, and he was helping get together that colony and, you know, get those people together, and eventually just got old and passed away peacefully after a long, adventurous career. And it was quick, it was poignant. It actually went into the themes of the movie, and it was well handled. And I think it was purposely so, seeing as how he was not the only death involved. As, you know, Anton Yelchin passed away, and so a lot of Star Trek Beyond has that themes of, which are harking back to older Star Treks, where like two absent friends, two absent friends. So that whole thing that we've seen in previous films, and it has kind of those harkening back to like Wrath of Khan and some of the latter Star Trek Next Generation movies, like even in like Nemesis, where they're mourning Data, and it's very simple, it's very poignant, and it's very beautiful. We don't get that in The Last Jedi. What do we do in The Last Jedi? Let's just blow her the fucking hell out into space. So, and it's a thing, it was like watching it, it was like, oh, this is how they're going to handle it. This is how they're going to handle it. They're like, oh, Kylo Ren's going to blast her. Or he's not going to do it. Or the other time, oh, that's how she died. She blows him out into space. And, of course, we blow the fuck up out of Admiral Akbar, too. To hell with him. I'm sorry, you don't do that. You don't kill a meme. You don't fucking kill a meme. You don't fucking do that shit. It's bullshit. We blow him out in outer space, and it's like, alright, so, you know. It was a little disturbing to me on the grounds that it's like, you sure you want to go this route? I mean, she's dead in real life, and it was like, it's the type of thing I got angry about later. But, yeah, she's blown in outer space, and it's like, oh, she's floating very gracefully, and, oh, this is how they're handling it. She died in combat. That's how they're gonna handle it. And then their eyes open, and she Leia Poppins her way back to the ship. And I think everybody's kind of beating this to death. But yeah, okay, so she flies over, and they open the door and don't die, and that's dumb. And it's like, I'm well aware Star Wars is science fiction fantasy, but you have to have, like, we know how space works, okay? It's like, we know how space works. It's like, even though this is a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, unless the galaxy is the negative zone, there should be fucking pressure out there. So, that's not okay. Like, have her go to an airlock or something where it makes sense. Anyway. And I want to echo what Jay Bauman of Red Letter Media said, is that I think one of my biggest problems with the scene is that it's strange. It's very strange, because it's the type of thing where it's like, when it was happening, it didn't make any sense. Because it was like, you know, knowing what I know about Star Wars, okay, she is Force sensitive. We know she's Force sensitive. She's always been Force sensitive. She's, you know, like, but she's a Jedi. She's one of the Jedi twins of the Skywalkers, and she's always been able to sense Luke and just kind of know deep down that, you know, on some level we're brother and sister. She's had her superpower, if you will, is superhuman senses via the Force, and that's it. That's all it's ever been. She's not a Jedi. She's never bothered to train, and that's the thing. She's never bothered to train. She's never pursued it, and it's the type of thing that I think in real world some people can kind of connect to, like on a spiritual level. It's like there's a potential. You know, and again, I think other people have mentioned too that basically it's entirely possible they're all Force sensitive. Like, it's talking to Chewie, and all the Force flows through us, and it binds and surrounds us. And the Force is strong. The Force is with everyone, but certain people are stronger, and certain people, even if they're strong, they choose to not use it. It's like, you know, like Leia has never chosen to train as a Jedi. She's never. That's not who she is. She is a leader. She is a politician and a diplomat, and she's a commander. And she's a commander that's willing to go, you know, was willing to fight on the ground level, leading the charge, and sleeping on the ground with her own men. Just like sleeping beside the troops. She's willing to be in the thick of it and in the shit with everybody else. That's Princess Leia. That's what makes Princess Leia awesome. She is Force sensitive. That's a potential in her. She's never chosen to be a Jedi. And if anybody who knows anything about Star Wars, that there's a whole level to this. And I made this joke a long time ago to my friends, that The Force Awakens feels like, a lot of these new Star Wars, to me, feel like someone picked up the D20 Star Wars role-playing game, and just made a role playing game and posted it in theaters. And I suppose I'm one to talk. I'm posting my role playing games online anyway. But I mean that's yeah, and that's like a lot of the complaints that like raise a Mary Sue. Well, yeah, she's a level 5 Jedi. She's a level 5 Jedi, not consular, but like a Jedi Guardian. Yeah, Jedis can make paladins blush. Let me tell you. You thought paladins are overpowered in D&D? No, you haven't seen a Jedi. You haven't seen what Jedis are capable of. Yeah, sorry, Finn and Poe. Yeah, Finn, you chose the soldier class. There go, you suck. Poe, yeah, you didn't even have a class in that book. You had to go to Modern D20 and pick Dogfighter, and what does that mean? That means you're only good in space combat. You suck too. Yeah, she picked the DPS class that's really good. That's what it boils down to. And it feels like this movie is just a session of the RPG that just hit the fan. That's what it feels like. But it, yeah. So I mean that's it feels like, but you know, having read a book like that and loving a book like that, yeah, there's tons of Jedi out there. There's tons of people that are Force sensitive out there, and anyone can have the potential to be it. And again, man, woman, alien, it doesn't fucking matter. Anyone can have the potential for it. So, and we know she is strong with it, but the fact of the matter is, she's never trained. She's never known how to do this kind of stuff. And now, while I'm watching it, again, a lot of people really flip the shit out about it, and as they should. I feel you. I do. But it was like, you know, the problem with it for me was, it's like, okay, this isn't impossible. From what I know about Star Wars, this can happen. Because, you know, but and again, I'm going to echo what Jay Bauman said. Jay Bauman said, it's strange. And it is strange. Because essentially what happened was, it's like, okay, I guess this is like an adrenaline rush. Adrenaline rush, I'm kicking into the Force and I'm using it to fly back to the ship. It's like, okay, that's possible, I guess. You know, it's like, but it's like unlikely and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And as for her flying through space and how ridiculous it is, it's like, well, okay, the Jedi have telekinesis. The most basic Jedi thing is moving an object with your mind. It's like that's telekinesis. Well, and again, I'm an X-Men fan. You know what telekinesis can enable you to do? Fly. You know, truth be told, she was probably just like Force pulling the ship to her. That's what she was really doing. So, I mean, the how and whys of it are not that unusual. It's just that should it be there? And of course, no. Because even all that said, she's never trained. She's never trained before. There's no real reason for her to do it, especially if you're gonna have her go into a coma after it and sideline her for the rest of the movie and not do anything with her. And then on top of that, that doesn't change the fact that, okay, great, you know, I mean, like you can fly through space and have Force powers for no fucking reason. It doesn't change the fact that basically you got blasted with a massive laser blast fireball, so you got incinerated, hit with shrapnel, blown out into the vacuum of space, froze due to absolute zero temperatures out there, and then had explosive decompression. There are 5 ways that Leia should be dead, based off of that. 5. And I don't care how good of a Jedi you are, nobody's that good. Unless you did like an Avatar: The Last Airbender, had a Force bubble on you the entire time. And if that's the case, we should see that. We did not see that. And so the fact that a person that has no formal training, whatsoever, being able to do that is completely ridiculous. And to go back to a role-playing example, if this were a role-playing game, it's like, yeah, you're dead. You're fucking dead. No. It's like, oh, but no. Let me see your character sheet. Soldier, aristocrat, yeah, okay, all right, yeah. So you don't have anything on this character sheet that says you can survive this. I don't need to breathe. I'm undead. Really? Are you? I'm a vampire. It's like, bitch, you didn't take the undead. You didn't take a vampire time. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. No. You didn't do that. You didn't. It's bullshit. There's no reason in terms of like what Princess Leia has been and is to signify that. And if she has been training this entire time, you need to show that in a movie. Not some non-canon book I don't care about. Not some expanded universe that isn't the expanded universe, because Legends is the real expanded universe. You fuckers. Yeah, no. It's bullshit. So that was the first sign that there's something wrong. Then there's Haldo. And a lot of people that have been talking about this have been seconding this too. I absolutely hated Holdo. And hating Holdo pisses me off because I love Laura Dern. I really love Laura Dern. Jurassic Park is one of my favorite movies. Fuck you, Last Jedi. You made me hate Ellie Sattler. Fuck you. Fuck you, Last Jedi. Fuck your face. How dare you? And on top of that, like, okay, she was also in Downsizing, which isn't that good of a movie either, but it's better than The Last Jedi. She was in it. She had a really brief scene, in it, but she was great in it. She was great. I love Laura Dern. You made me hate Laura Dern. Fuck off. It's bullshit. Alright, so she comes out, she's got purple hair for some reason, and she's just a total bitch. Total bitch, will not tell Poe what's going on. And for no reason. And okay, so I just got out of the military, and I was Navy, my dad was Army. And as my dad's pointed out many times before, it's like, okay, look, when we're being shot at, when there is no time, when you're in the military, you just follow orders. You follow orders. But a good commander, when there is time, explains to his troops what's really going on. And okay, yes, they were being shot at, but here's the thing. This entire movie was a giant fucking submarine chase in space. And there are scenes where she's just sitting there staring out at space, watching the medical cruiser explode, and for some reason, the Empire is just, or the First Order. For some reason, they're very, very slowly making their way to them, and they can't hit the broadside of the broadside of a barn. For some reason, the Calamari cruiser is just able to get away. The Rad-X is able just to keep, very slowly getting away from all this. It's like, which again, one of the complaints I've heard about is that they made the Empire look like shit. They made the First Order look like bitches. They did. Star Destroyers were no mean joke back in the day. You don't fuck with a Star Destroyer. And the fact that it just, like, and on top of that, the Star Destroyers, say what you will about Stormtroopers, Star Destroyers know how to aim. I think they got computers on those things that do it for you. Like, the fact that they're able to slowly get away instead of maybe going in hyperspace in front of them and then, like, crunching them. Makes no sense. But the fact of the matter is, they are very slowly getting away from these people. It's like a comedy. There is plenty of time to say, okay, listen, Poe, I have a plan. We're gonna go to this one planet. We're gonna hide down there. I have cloaked ships. I have a plan. No, she chooses to be a bitch. She chooses to be a total bitch, which prompts Poe, Finn, and Rose to go on this whole side mission. And, when all she had to do was just explain it. And the thing is, the way they presented her character, they made her character out to be a completely horrible person. I thought she was going to turn out to be a spy for the Empire. I thought she was going to turn out to be, or at the very least, an incompetent military person. And maybe the metaphor here was, it's like, okay, we're about to get exterminated by an evil fascist empire, but we're too busy arguing with each other to do anything about that. I thought Rian Johnson was maybe to do like a George Romero Night of the Living Dead thing, in terms of social commentary. No, I was supposed to root for her the entire time. And then she turns around and fucking and light speeds the hell out of the entire First Order, and I'm supposed to think of her as a hero now? Fuck you, Holdo. Fuck you. You were a miserable bitch and a terrible character. Eat shit. She for my money, was the worst character in the movie. And as for that scene, which everybody loves so much, okay, I've been watching science fiction for 35 years. I've seen it better and done better before. Star Trek has brought this up before. It's like whenever they deal with the Borg, if it gets to a point where, like, especially like in the novels and things like that, this has come up. If it ever gets to the point where, okay, the Borg have adapted everything we got and they're going to assimilate the hell out of us, ram the cube. Ram the cube. You also from Star Trek, you have the Picard maneuver. Okay? You have where the Picard maneuver where basically you go to warp, drop a torpedo, and then warp away really quickly. It's a very delicate maneuver that can get you killed and get your entire ship blown up and your crew blown up. But if you pull it off, you essentially launch a photon torpedo at a ship at like warp 5, and it blows the fuck out of an enemy ship. This has been done before, and for that matter, FTL weaponry has been done before by other things as well. Again, this is the railgun concept, which is a real world concept. The photon torpedoes alone are essentially, again, Star Trek has done this. Star Trek did the Voyager episode where Red Letter Media pointed this out before I did, but they had that one episode where B'Elanna Torres made like a Planet Buster torpedo that was meant to hit Cardassia, but it had its own AI and it went off in some random direction, and it decided, I'm going to blow something else up, and it's in the Delta Quadrant. So Janeway and Torres have to deactivate the thing. We've done this before. We've handled this. And one of my personal favorite science fiction show of all time, Farscape, has dealt with this, and to much aplomb. I believe their season 3 finale, John Crichton and the crew of Moya have gone back to the Peacekeepers and say, look, we're going to give you the wormhole technology because we realize the Scarens are a bigger threat. John Crichton goes to Scorpius and says, hey, look, I'm going to work with you. I'll give you the wormhole tech. I realize that you guys are the lesser of two evils and the Scarens need to be stopped. And also, we need help with Talon because Talon's gone crazy. Well, once he realizes that, like, yeah, I still can't, I can't, even though I've caught some kind of understanding with my greatest enemy, Scorpius, that Neelon Gray's lady is worse, and she's going to do everything horrible with the wormhole tech imaginable. I can't trust her, and you know what? I still can't trust Scorpius. You know, once the time came, they decided to betray the Peacekeepers. And one of the ways they did it was, since Talon was dying already, Talon was going into dementia and was crazy and was going to get, like, killed anyway. And on top of that, they want that Leviathan command carrier hybrid anyway, which is also a thing the Peacekeepers shouldn't have. Cray said, look, I've done a lot of bad things. I've done a lot of bad things by you people. I got this. And he goes on board, they hatch a plan. He goes on board Talon, and he tells Talon what's going on. Talon, we need to make this right. We need to stop this once and for all. Talon, starburst. And essentially what happens is, his ship, while inside of a larger, Star Destroyer-sized ship, goes to warp speed inside of another ship. And it slams into the hull of the ship, and it's basically going to collapse. There's a little bit of time for the heroes and the bad guys to get away, but basically it's going to collapse the entire ship into a black hole. That's what it's going to do. It's devastating, it's badass, it's awesome, and it was done by another science fiction series before Star Wars ever even attempted it. So your whole FTL, your whole ram you at lightspeed thing, it's not new. Other science fiction works have handled it before. And anybody that is a student of science fiction will know that and will have seen that. Canobite. I actually liked Canobite. I actually liked it at the time. It's like, all right, this is a kind of a wacky, crazy adventure. Okay, all right, and a lot of people are like, oh, prequel flashbacks. A lot of people hated it, and I'm not going to defend it too much, but I didn't mind it. It just didn't go anywhere. It was pointless. There was no point to anything. And it was also weird. It's like, okay, you guys are being fucking chased by like, the Empire. They're hunting you down and trying to murder you. And you're just gonna... Just two of you can just leave? You can just go to another planet where that's not happening? I wish in the real world we could do that. I wish, like, if you're getting chased by, like, a bunch of Russian submarines, we could just, like, we could just fly, a couple sailors can just fly away on a helo and go to Monte Carlo. That'd be swell. I think in the real world they'd be shot down in that situation. It was just really bizarre. How did they just... You two can just leave and go to another planet. And it was like... It felt like that whole situation could have been handled differently. It's like, okay, why don't... You got a bunch of ships, including a bunch of fighters, a bunch of X-Wings and whatnot. Why don't you all just spread out and all go in completely different directions and meet up later? Even if they can track you, they can only track some of you. So why don't you spread it out? Force the Empire to spread out. There's a lot of tactical stuff that doesn't make sense here and didn't make sense in terms of the narrative. And the fact that those two characters were able just to leave the conflict, to go get help, and then came back. I know part of the issue is that, oh, well, Finn's dealing with his own cowardice. That's one of the themes we're dealing with here. Okay, but still, like, if I'm getting shot at, like in the real world, if I'm getting shot at, and I'm able to get away from the shooting zone, and to go get help and get a cop, should I just go back in? No. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to get out as many people as are with you out as well, get the cops there and get the first responders there, and then get to safety. That's responsible. Unless you're like a commando, or you're a badass cop, and it's like, yeah, I got that. I'm going back in. I'm going to shoot that crazy, active shooter in the face. Unless you're a badass like that, okay. But most people, sensible advice is no. You get away and you call for help. That's the sensible thing. So would it make more sense if they just went to Canto Bight and then just like called friendly ships and say, hey, you need to help the rebellion? But apparently, like, this is it now, and it's like, okay. By getting rid of the expanded universe, they have changed this universe so much in a way that it doesn't make any sense. Like, the Republic, the Empire and the Republic were a galactic empire and a galactic republic, featuring hundreds of thousands of worlds, hundreds of thousands of fleets. Even if that was Coruscant that was destroyed in The Force Awakens, that everybody's spread out. We covered this in Star Trek. In Star Trek Beyond, well, in the new Star Trek films, they destroyed Romulus. But the thing is that the Romulan, especially the expanded universe stuff on that, the Romulan Empire is still out there. The Romulans are still at large, and they're actually factionalized now. There's some Republicans that are just colonists now that want nothing to do with the Empire. There's the Tal Shiar, which is run by Princess Sayla, who is trying to be bad Romulans and conquer everybody and forcibly unite all the Romulans against their will. And then there's the Romulan Republic, which is trying to be a better version of the Romulan Empire, not be. They're trying to rebuild the glory of the Romulan Empire, but at the same time, actually work for peace between the Federation and the Klingons. They're actually, they're this super positive thing. The Legacy of Romulus campaign in Star Trek Online is fucking awesome. Go play it. It's great. But it's a big world out there. It's like there's other planets, there's other systems. They've spread out. So even the destruction of Coruscant or a couple of those worlds, that should be devastating to the Republic, but it shouldn't destroy it outright. In fact, it doesn't make sense that we're the rebellion now and the First Order's taken over. And again, maybe I'm just holding on to the expanded universe because I should be, and everybody else should be. But yeah, once the Empire fell at the end of Return of the Jedi, they started a new Republic. They started the new Republic after that. And there's been basically 30 years of peace. And the Empire was still around, but they were now the minority. They were now they were now essentially a rogue terrorist faction with military-grade weaponry. The Empire was still around, trying, throughout the galaxy, just kind of like, at large, trying to rebuild their forces, trying to retake over the galaxy over and over again. And one of the pivotal features, characters and all that, was Grand Admiral Thrawn. And I believe, Emperor Palpatine had a clone as well. That were some of the major figures in that. And they were trying to rebuild, and take over the Republic after Return of the Jedi. That was what was going on. That made sense. That's been written and layered over 30 years. Now it's just, we're the rebellion again. I love what Mike Silvassa says in Red Letter Media, is that, like, how long can this conflict go on any longer? It's like, Leia has been fighting this war for 30 years. She looks so old in the movie. And what did happen? And frankly, I almost don't even want, I don't want to check their expanded sources. I don't want to check their novels or comic books. Because you know what? Who gives a shit? Because your movie's so bad, I don't want to check out your expanded material. I don't want to see it. It's not worth viewing. But it makes no sense. Even destroying a bunch of those worlds that the Star Killer base took out, that's only like 4 or 5 planets. Yes, it's countless billions of lives, and it should set the Republic back, but they should have other ships out there. You should be able to call for help. So how come, when you go to Canto Bight, you can't just get reinforcements? Why can't you do that? Why can't you just call some other world? Why can't you call Mon Calamari? Are we meant to believe that all the major worlds in Star Wars are just right next to each other? For everything we've seen so far, that's not the fucking case. They're spread out, like space normally is. So, I mean, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And at the end of the day, it accomplishes nothing. The code breaker they got, like Benicio del Toro's dumb stuttering character, DJ, obviously he was going to betray them, and he did obviously betray them. So what was the point in bringing him along in the first place? It was just, it went nowhere, and it accomplished nothing. And then it gave us that weird animal rights, plot, which is part of the reason why Rose sucks as a character too. Let's. Okay, it's a shame that these animals are abused, but what's also a shame is the fact that they have child slaves. You go to all the trouble to save the fucking horse dogs, but fuck the child slaves, fuck them. Nah, too bad, we don't have time for that. And that's the other thing too, is like, okay, I get it. Yeah, let's not abuse animals. And yeah, child slavery's bad, Rian Johnson. But we're in the middle of a war. Our friends are dying. Can we focus? Smack Rose in the fucking head. It's like, you please? Could we save our friends now? She apparently has a problem with that, which of course comes up at the end of the movie. So there's that. The whole. Then there's the, like, yeah, Finn didn't get anything to. I feel like Finn didn't get anything to do in this movie, and it all culminates in Captain Phasma came back. I loved Captain Phasma in this movie. I loved Captain Phasma, all 3 minutes of her. Yeah. Okay. Great. You're good on Game of Thrones. You are good on Game of Thrones, and it's like, all right, you're a cool-looking villainous stormtrooper Boba Fett character. Shame they didn't do anything with you in the movie. Um, and then finally, the piece de resistance is the Jedi angle of the whole thing. Okay. Luke Skywalker drinking alien milk or semen. I look. That's an alien species. I know those look like tits. We don't know if those are tits, and they're in the crotch. That could be dicks right there. I think the biggest thing and the worst thing about this film is the complete degradation of Luke Skywalker, and what was done to Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill was protesting this for the longest time, and now he's gone on record. He wants nothing more to do with it. He wants nothing more to. He's done with Star Wars. We actually Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy and JJ actually pissed off Mark Hamill to the point where he has the same feeling about Star Wars that Harrison Ford does. I'm done. Want nothing to do with it. And again, Mark was warning us about this ahead of time. Mark was hands down the best thing in the movie in terms of acting, and just like, the guy's a pro. He basically championed it as best he could under duress, which he made note that I am not happy with this direction of my character, and I'm sorry if Luke Skywalker can't get behind this, the rest of us can, and I don't, I understand why. They humiliated him. They humiliated him to have him. There's no reason for that scene in there. I did not need to see him suckle alien walrus semen. I didn't need to see that. It's not funny. It's disgusting, and there was no reason. It was one of those things like, why is this here? Why is this here? And what they did to his character turned him this whiny little bitch. I'm sorry. My personal favorite Star Wars movie is Return of the Jedi. I will never forget the climactic scene of that movie, where Luke, in order to defend his sister, goes all out, just no, and just charges Darth Vader. When Vader says, "Oh, yes, sister, you have a twin sister." Obi-Wan was wise to hide her from me. If you won't turn to the dark side, maybe she will. When he makes that threat, and Luke goes just like, freaking no chance on his ass, and goes and attacks him and lays into him and beats him, cuts his arm off, and almost cuts him down. And Palpatine goes, good. That is that moment where he makes the stand against the Empire. He looks at Vader's hand, he looks at his own hand, sees what he's becoming, throws down his lightsaber and says, "Never. I will never turn to the dark side. You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me." That is one of the greatest moments of heroism in all of fiction. That is the moment which showed me what a hero is all about. Aside from my dad, just living his life, doing his job every day. Because that's my real hero right there. But in terms of fiction, that's what it's all about right there. Luke Skywalker making a stand against evil, nearly dying for it, and that's the thing that actually redeemed his father. The very fact that the most optimistic person in all of the Star Wars universe could suddenly, a man who literally went through hell and back to bring his father back from the pits of hell, his father back from who was the most evil person in the universe, who committed genocide. Remember Alderaan? Never forget Alderaan. Never forget Alderaan. The very fact that he was able to see good in him, never, although he was tempted and he faced it, he was able to make a stand against evil, and to resist the temptation and to bring his father back from the dark side. That's what Luke Skywalker is all about. That's the hero that he is. That sets the standard for everything in the Star Wars universe and speculative fiction in general, what being a hero is all about. And the very fact that they took the most optimistic, heroic character in all of Star Wars and decided the guy who could do that for Darth Vader, the guy who could do that for the most evil man in the universe, he can't make that same thing for his nephew and best friend's son. He's gonna, I had a vision where you might be bad, and he's gonna pull out his lightsaber and think about killing him. The very fact that he would do that is just, they don't get it. They don't understand. Like, it's complete assassination of his character. And for my money, it's the worst thing ever. It's the worst thing ever, and it just, they ruined his character. But they ruined every single one of the classic characters. They didn't give them anything to do. What did we like? Leia was sidelined for much of the movie. We don't even see someone like Lando. And Chewbacca's plotline is, what do I do with all these porgs? Oh no, porgs! Fuck the porgs. All porgs must be eaten. All porgs must be eaten. God forbid a Wookiee, a predatory species, be able to eat something. You know? Oh, we're so cute. Don't eat it. I want to blast the fuck out of those goddamn things. They suck too. It's like they're just there to fucking get your kids to buy stuff. And again, you know what? Most kids aren't fucking buying the porgs. You know why? Because they're not liking the movie. They're not. Children are smarter than people give them credit for. When they don't react to kids don't always have the eloquence to know why they don't like something, but it's there. They know there's something about this they don't quite understand or don't like, but for some reason if it doesn't resonate with a human, it won't resonate with them either. That's not true of all of them, of course, but it's not true with all people. Some people like this shitty movie, but even kids know there's something wrong here. But yeah, they didn't give anything for the classic characters to do, and then they didn't give anything for the new characters to do. Okay, let's talk about Rey. Let's talk about all three. Let's talk about all four of them. Let's talk about all four of them. I liked the new characters. I accepted them. Of all the accusations, justified accusations, that Rey is a Mary Sue, I liked Rey. I liked Rey a lot. I thought she was a good hero for the new series, and it was cool to see a female Jedi, and I was kind of cool to see what her story would lead into, and I could let the Mary Sue-ness go so long as it was still, I guess it was new. It was the first movie, so, it's like, oh, I think everybody's expecting they'll explain it. They'll explain why, and they, of course, never did. But yeah, I thought she was cool, and Daisy Ridley did a decent job with her, and she's really hot. So it was like, look up Rey search Rey with the search filters off on your internet sometimes. There's some good stuff there. But I liked Rey. I liked Rey. I thought Rey was a perfectly awesome character, and one that was romantic, that can be enjoyed as a hero. I liked Finn. I liked the idea of a stormtrooper who's had second thoughts. Poe, for my money, is the best character in these new films. I fucking love Oscar Isaacs. I love Poe. He's just a badass. He's just cool to me. I don't know why. I don't know why I like Poe so much, but I do like Poe so much. And some of my buddies talked about this. It was like, we blogged about this. It was like, people have been talking about, like, maybe Poe and, like, Finn should be an item. It's like, you know what? Fine. They're original characters. You want to make them gay? Go ahead. And you know what? I think with those two, it's really just a bromance. It's just they're friends and they like each other, and that's cool. But you know what? Hey, Gene Roddenberry even said it was like, if he could have gotten away with it, he would have made Kirk and Spock gay. These are two original characters. There's no continuity of womanizing, and like, there's no continuity saying that they are indeed straight. If you want to make those two gay, go for it. I would salute it, because it was like, it was like there's chemistry between those two. And it felt like they were trying to do something with Finn and Rey, which I thought also was fine. It was like there was interest of what's going to happen next. I thought they were interesting characters. Kylo Ren, I don't think I've ever been in love with. He was just fine. He was just he's a Sith Lord. Again, he was more interesting to me when it was apparent he was. I mean, Adam Driver's acting is fine, but he was just more interesting to me when he was just like there was a possibility that he was Jason Solo, that he was the Jedi twin that went bad, and Rey's the Jedi twin that went good. And then they shot that in the foot. I didn't mind the Reylo. I didn't mind that. It was like, well, although if you think about it, it doesn't really make any sense. You want to do this guy now? You want to do this guy who you saw shoot your father figure and stab your father figure in the chest? You're fine with that now. You're like, again, it feels like we're appealing to fan fiction writers on some level, but whatever. I didn't mind that, but nobody really got anything to do. Poe got some kind of arc where it's like, oh, you're a hothead. You need to learn to listen to your female commanders. That's your problem. Where it was never established that he was a hothead or had anything problem with female commanders before. He was fiercely loyal to Princess Leia in The Force Awakens, and even in this movie, it was like he's still like. She's kind of like, she was like demoting him or planning to demote him, but he still, like, he would answer to her. He would take a bullet for her. He was like, really, he's fiercely loyal to her and respects her, and was, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, Poe was awesome. And it was like, but no, he's got to have this art, he needs to learn humility. And it's like, it was never established that, okay, he was kind of a hothead pilot. Okay, well, the best characters that are like that, like the hothead pilot characters, don't learn to ever stop being a hothead. You want to look up other science fiction works? As like check out Battlestar Galactica. Check out either incarnation of Starbuck, either from the classic series or the newer series where Starbuck's a chick. Check out not the movie, but the Wing Commander series of games where Biff from Back to the Future plays Maniac. And they're always hot headed. That's part of what we like about them. They're hot shots. It's part of the appeal. It's like it's you don't want them to be irresponsible, but at the same time it's like they're kind of that's their character. It's like that's part of what made them fun. And just having this whole plot where he has to get talked down to by Holdo doesn't make any damn sense. Finn doesn't get anything to do, and he gets an Asian girlfriend now for some reason. And then there's her. And then there's that whole storyline. I want to spew my venom in order as best I can. Yeah, nothing happens with his arc. And then Rey. One thing that really bothered me about Rey was the whole stupid go into the frickin' this one spot on the island is strong with the dark side. That whole journey to check out that hole in the ground that's strong with the dark side was retarded. It meant it went to nothing. It was supposed to be harkening back to Empire Strikes Back, where in that one spot where Luke fights what appears to be Darth Vader and he cuts his head off and turns out it's himself. And it was like, that was a place strong with the dark side, which once again in the expanded universe we got more details on. That was really cool. That location on Dagobah is a place where a Jedi who was a member of Yoda's race, but not Yoda himself, got attacked by a Sith. And it was a very intense battle, and basically the Jedi was very, very scared that he was going to die, and he was sweating profusely as the Sith was hunting him down. And they fought. The Sith ambushed him, but he fought him, and he managed to kill the Sith Lord. And it is basically, that is a location where the sweat of a Jedi mixed with the blood of a Sith. And as a result, that place is always going to be strong with the dark side. And that was a very cool thing that we got expanded upon in the expanded universe that was set up in the original movies. It's very clearly a reference to that. What happens here? She looks into the magic mirror gate from the Neverending Story, and it's what it is. And she sees hundreds of versions of herself, and then she looks through it. Who are my parents? And she sees a little boy reading a book named Bastion. It's like, oh wait, no, that would have been cool if that had happened. Nothing, and just nothing happens. And it ties in largely to the other big problem, which is like set up with no payoff. So I'm a person that really didn't give a shit about the kind of mysteries they set up in the original movie, in the Force Awakens, but everyone else did. Everyone else was intrigued. Like, who's Rey's parents? Who's Rey's parents? What's the deal with Snoke? What's the deal with? And everybody, all the speculation and people like, and again, I cut myself off. I don't like to. I just want to go in the movie and enjoy it. I honestly didn't care because I had faith in Disney. I had faith in Disney. Whatever they do, it's going to be great. And once again, humanity disappoints me. Because, no, it wasn't great. It wasn't great at all. It was, I didn't know what they were going to do. I assumed Rey and Kylo were going to turn out to be brother and sister, and it was like, oh, you're Jay Solo and you're Jason Solo. I think the girl is Jay Solo. I need to check Wikipedia and double check, but I'm pretty sure it's Jay Solo and Jason Solo. They were going to turn out to be the Jedi twins from the Timothy Zahn trilogy, and that's what it was going to be. Snoke, I didn't give a shit. I think the best speculation, Snoke to me has always just been a Sith Lord. He's just a generic Sith Lord. That's it. And I like how, one of the things that I complained about, and I'm afraid to say his name, the Nostalgia Critic pointed out, because hashtag change the channel. Anyway, a lot of people speculated maybe he's a giant, maybe Snoke's a giant. I thought that would have been cool because we're in outer space, it's science fiction. Yeah, I know it's a hologram. He's making himself look. Yeah, but wouldn't it be cool if that was just actual size? Because it's Star Wars. It's a science fiction universe full of aliens and crazy phenomenon. Wouldn't it be cool to see a race of giants that are Force users, that has all the powers and abilities of a Sith, including maybe even losing a lightsaber, but they're colossal size? Wouldn't that be fucking badass? Wouldn't that be cool? Again, something Mike Silvassa brought up, what if Dark Tyrannus was a giant 18-foot Gorgon? he brought that up when he was making fun of the prequels. Like, what if like Count Dooku was like a giant Gorgon? Yeah, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see a giant monster Sith Lord. That'd be fucking metal, man. Yeah, great. So why not do that? No, just a Sith Lord. I think the best theory I've heard with him that people seem to like, and it seems to make sense, it was probably what JJ was going to do, is he's Darth Plagueis, which makes sense. He's a very, 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 very super old guy who is horribly scarred because, which would show that basically someone tried to kill him once, which of course would have been Emperor Palpatine. Emperor Palpatine betrayed Plagueis, left him for dead. It turns out he was so strong with the Force, he survived. And again, his power is to he can basically create life with the Force. He can possibly even heal himself with the Force. So the fact that he has this horrible scar and he's super, super old would see like, yes, oh well, my apprentice failed to maintain this empire, but I'll start it up again. And it would also explain why he's so powerful with the Force that he can fucking bridge, minds across the galaxy. That would have all made sense if he was just Darth Plagueis. But it doesn't matter because he got split in half anyway. And again, in all honesty, that was my favorite part of the movie. Because I never give a shit about Snoke. I'd never given a fucking rat's ass about Snoke. And so, like, seeing him get split in half, his dumbass get split in half when, like, okay, you can fucking, like, first of all, why do you need to kidnap Rey anyway to know where Luke Skywalker is? You can fucking, get, manage a Skype call between Kylo and Rey on two other sides of the fucking galaxy. But you can't do, like, a simple... You can't just tell where he is, and you can't see your loser apprentice like slowly moving the lightsaber next to you. Come on. So, and then the whole thing where, oh, your parents are nobody, they were crackheads. It was like, so basically, I didn't care too much about these mysteries personally, but everyone else did. And truth be told, the reason I didn't care was I expected what I was going to be given was probably going to be good, and it wasn't good. It was like it's called writing, Ryan Johnson. It's called like allegedly you're a writer, allegedly you're worth a shit. Apparently not. And maybe this whole like telephone game way of doing a movie series is a bad idea. Maybe just have someone with a complete vision go from one to the other. But they didn't do that. They basically really dropped the ball on those mysteries, really pissed everybody off. Then okay. I liked Rose. She started annoying me when she was complaining about animal rights. I liked Rose all the way until she stops Finn from sacrificing himself. That was retarded. First of all, again, she could have killed them both. And then she's like, I saved you, dummy. We're gonna win this war, not by killing what we hate, but by saving what we love. Kiss me. And it's like, and again, for all those of you who've seen the How It Should Have Ended episode, a lot of people are circulating about this. This is how it should have ended. The How It Should Have Ended really is how The Last Jedi should have ended. I'm saying, like, on top of fans, like, give me a hell yeah in the comments if you agree with this, but, like, we should just assume that the How It Should Have Ended episode is the canon, like, The Last Jedi. That's, like, what actually happened. We should all just make that canon. It's like, because it should. It's much more satisfying. It feels like Star Wars. And Finn's reaction is perfect. It was like, I was saving that which I loved. I was sacrificing myself like your sister to save the rest of us. Apparently, Rose don't give two fucks about the rest of the rebellion. It's fucking retarded. And that's the moment where she became Jar Jar Binks to me. That's the moment where she became the worst character. And it's apparent that, like, there is a social agenda going on in these movies that's ruining the movie. It's like Kathleen Kennedy walking around with her whole "The Force is female" shirt. It's like Holdo and Rose are inserted into the story to be third-wave feminist icons to talk down to the male characters. It's a reason why, like, Rey is a nigh indestructible, like, juggernaut and a Mary Sue. It's because that's why. That's what Kathleen Kennedy's doing. She's pushing a feminist agenda when she should be focusing on just making a Star Wars movie. You can have strong female characters in there. We've had strong female characters. It's like they're tone deaf. It's like the far left hasn't paid attention to anything in the past 30 to 50 years, and had never seen and feels like strong female characters are a new thing. I'm sorry, Sigourney Weaver can have me right the fuck now as a boy toy. Why? Because one sentence, get away from her, you bitch. Okay? Sigourney Weaver, I love you. You are the sexiest woman in the world to me, and always shall be, because I saw Aliens when I was 15, and you are a fucking badass. That is a strong female character. Sarah Connor, original Terminator movies, strong female character. They exist. They've been out there. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Aaron Sun. We've had tons of strong female characters out there. And part of what makes you a strong female character is not making a big deal about being a strong female character. You're a woman, and you're a badass. That's it. And hopefully you have a personality. And just because you're... And don't be afraid to be feminine. Don't be afraid to be... Whatever. Just have a personality. Be, you know... like they make such a big deal about this, they miss the point. And it falls in their face. And they're trying to push the social agenda that is... I don't need this in my Star Wars movie. I just want to see a Star Wars movie. I just want to see what happens to the characters. I just want to have a fun adventure. No. And for my money, and I felt this even when I was in denial. I felt this even when I was watching the film and I was still enjoying it. For me, Star Wars officially died when Luke died. To be fair, the Force projection thing was a clever idea. The idea is like, you know, the Force can do all sorts of things and things we may not have seen before. The idea of him making a hologram of himself, okay, that's kind of cool, but it's not satisfying. I want a fucking lightsaber fight. We want, and there's no reason, and at the end of the day, what other people like Red Letter Media has pointed out before, it just seems like he's lazy. He can't be bothered to fly all the way to this planet. He can't be bothered to leave the planet, so he's just going to force project himself to distract them. Instead of actually manning up, being the hero we know him to be, and showing up, and saving the day. Instead of doing that, he can't be bothered, and then sure enough, he fades away at the end of it, which means he's dead. It was too much of a strain for him, he's dead. And for my money, that's the moment when Star Wars died. Star Wars officially died at that point. And then they show that stupid fucking kid with the broom, and I'm like, fuck you. Fuck you, Rian Johnson. They killed him. And I want to make another tangent here. I know I'm a rambly fuck, but... So, a show you should be watching right now is Ash vs. the Evil Dead. It's fucking awesome. I went to Pensacon a couple months ago. I got to meet Dana DiLorenzo, and she's awesome. She's great. That show is so good. And what's great about that show is that, like, you got Bruce Campbell, who, if you're an old school Evil Dead fan, that's who you're there to see. But Bruce Campbell is, well, with his character is treated with respect. Mind you, he's a comedic character, and a character that has no problem and has always poked fun at himself. That's fine. That's who his character is. Bruce Campbell has always said, Ash is an idiot who's the only thing he's good at is fighting monsters. So Ash can always be badass and can be poked fun at, because that's the type of character he is. But he's able to be awesome and be great. But part of what's also, I'm not just there for Bruce Campbell. I'm also there for Dana DiLorenzo. I'm also there for Ray Santiago. I'm also there for Lucy Lawless. Because the new supporting characters they brought in, the new characters, are so good, and they prop up Bruce and make him look better, and Bruce props them up and makes them look better. So at this point, I accept Kelly, I accept Ruby, and I accept El Brujo Especial, Pablo, as heroes, or villains in case of Ruby. I accept them as heroes in the Evil Dead universe. I accept these characters and love these characters because they went to the job to promote each other. Bruce promoted them, they promoted Bruce. That's how you do it. And they haven't done this here. They've deliberately shat on Mark Hamill. They've shat on what came before. And at the same time, in order to sell these new characters, and they haven't even done a decent job of selling that. And I think at the end of the day, it's just like what it boils down to is, what's heartbreaking for me is, I love Disney. I've always loved Disney. And very recently, like this past year, this last year, I got into Gravity Falls. My buddy Josh got me into Gravity Falls, and I've been loving it. I've been loving what they've been doing with Marvel. And you know, to me, this whole sale with 20th Century Fox is a big coup. We finally got the X-Men back. We finally get the Fantastic Four back. We've got Deadpool back. But on top of that, 20th Century Fox basically gave all their movie properties. We've got Aliens, which means, you know, no more shitty Prometheus sequels. Ridley Scott can do no more shitty Prometheus sequels now, and it's great. They can do a Terminator movie. They can do a fucking Dodgeball movie tomorrow, and it will be awesome. This is such an awesome thing. And The Last Jedi is the first time I have seen a crack in the hull of the Disney ship. And now, at the very least, the Star Wars side of the ship is flooding. And it just would appear that, you know, it would just appear that Kathleen Kennedy's a really terrible damage control chief and doesn't know how to plug the leak. She doesn't know how to deal with that. And it's like, I'm worried this is going to infect and hurt the rest of Disney. And which pisses me the fuck off, because I fucking, you know, I've been waiting for Infinity War for the longest time. And I've got so many friends who are like, oh man, we're never gonna get the X-Men back. We're never gonna see the X-Men in the cinematic Marvel universe. And it's like, and you know, and I said, oh wait, just you wait. And I was right. We got them back. Don't fuck this up. You got a good thing going here, guys. Don't screw this up. But what you need to do, you need to lose Rian Johnson. You need to lose J.J. Abrams. And you need to lose Kathleen Kennedy. You need a new direction. This woman doesn't know what she's doing. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's pushing her third wave feminist agenda where it doesn't need to be, and she's not focusing on making a good movie. And at the end of the day, social justice doesn't sell. It doesn't connect to anybody. The fact that J.J. Abrams is actually saying, "Oh, if you don't like the Last Jedi, oh, you don't like women." Okay, well, why don't you check out Mindless Entertainment? Why don't you check out her channel and hear what she has to fucking think about what you just said there, asshole? How about all the other women who have not liked this movie? How about the fact that I'm hearing that even though it's clear that nobody likes this movie because it's got a 47% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, it turns out, like, according to a Rotten Tomatoes algorithm, that rating should be 24%. The fact of the matter is nobody likes this fucking movie. It hasn't sold. It hasn't connected to people. You guys are seeing and creating a problem where there is not one. And you're acting like we're the problem when we're the fans. We're the ones that make you. And you're gonna spit in our faces. And once again, we have another franchise that is now, you know, like, essentially dead until someone who gives a shit will take over it. You know, thank God the last Ninja Turtles movie bombed. So we're not, you know, as far as I know, we're not getting a new a third Michael Bay Ninja Turtles movie. But it's like, yeah, every time unfortunately, Hollywood isn't a democracy. You know, it takes, like, you know, it's like a lot of these Hollywood executives are a dinosaur that needs a helper brain. They need a helper brain because it takes them forever. They're like sloths to figure out when something isn't marketable or something they're pushing isn't working. And I think hopefully in the long run, given the amount of hate that's going on for Star Wars right now, that's a lot of hate that's going on for The Last Jedi in particular. Really, it's not hate for Star Wars. It's love for Star Wars. It's love for Star Wars, but it's hate for The Last Jedi. I think eventually things will change. I think if they have any fucking sense, they're going to get rid of Kathleen Kennedy. They're going to get rid of Rian Johnson. They're going to get rid of J.J. Abrams. And by the way, J.J., you've done a lot of movies I like. You have, but you're dead to me, bro. You're dead to me. You claim I'm sexist because I didn't like your movie. Or not your movie. The asshole who ruined your story plots in his movie. You think I'm sexist because of that? Fuck off. Yeah. Those three have shown their true colors. They can eat shit. They need to be fired. They need to be fired. And so yeah, once again, if you're out there and you didn't like The Last Jedi, you are the new rebellion. Keep fighting. All the other people out there who comment on this all the time, keep up the good fight, brother. You're doing a great job. Carbonite Chat. Carbonite Chat's another really good one that I really like. I like that guy. That guy's cool. And Solo. Yeah, don't see Solo. Don't see Solo. If you have to, find another way to watch it. I'm not suggesting how. Well, buy the ticket. Buy the ticket for another movie and go see Solo. If that's what you have to do. You know, but it's like, yeah, it's not even whether it's going to be good or bad or not. It might be good. I'm willing to see it eventually. But really, the only reason I want to see it is because I want to confirm that Star Wars is dead, and that I should not be interested in Star Wars, at least new Star Wars, until we get a change in leadership here. I think that's all I can rant about for the time being. I'm really glad I started doing these things. But yeah, so I finally got that off my chest about Star Wars. That's finally my Last Jedi review. So yeah, I don't know. Like, comment, and subscribe. Is that what you're supposed to do on the YouTubes? I'm old. I don't know these things. Anyway, this is the Dread Pirate signing off.